Alright, today we're going to be having Luka from school. We're going to be talking politics. I got a whole list of stuff here. I got 2 pages of just a bunch of stuff we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be discussing the 1619 project. A little bit about Luka, okay, before we get started on this thing, alright? Basically, Luka, I'm pretty sure he likes KFC. Alright, I'm assuming this because he works at one, okay? But hold on a second, alright? One more fact, he is the son of a Democrat. 2 of them, to be specific. But, we're about to have Luka on the line here. Luka, hello.
What's up, Keanu?
Alright, so we got some topics today. We're talking about the 1619 project. Alright, so you suggested this, right? So, you know a lot about it, I'm guessing, right?
I mean, yeah, I've read a few of the essays and some abstracts on it and some other commentaries on it, but yeah.
Alright, so basically, tell me about the 1619 project.
So it came out of the New York Times,
Yeah.
which is everyone's favorite reliable source.
Yeah.
It won a Pulitzer Prize,
Mm-hmm.
and it's totally not true.
Okay, so historians have actually critiqued this. They've actually critiqued this for actually being wrong. Like, it has so many logical fallacies in this thing.
Historians on all sides of the aisle have criticized it.
So I actually I did some research on it. All right, it's basically it was made in 2019. All right, and it's basically to teach kids not to see America as being founded on freedom, equality, and opportunity, but as being corrupted by slavery, inequality, and racism.
Yeah, that's literally what the author of it suggested.
Alright, so like what do you think of this? Like the fact that, you know, they're going into schools, you know, they want city children, you know.
I'll get to it being taught in schools in a second, but first, for people who don't know, it states that America was founded not in 1776, but that it was actually founded in 1619. And in 1619, the first slave ship came over to North America. I don't know. To say it was founded then makes absolutely no sense, because even the colonials that were in America at that time had no... they did not want to colonize or to found a new country. They wanted to see if there was any resources and or economic opportunities, and then bring that back to England and the rest of Europe. So there was no even thought of founding a new country at this time. Second thing is there was slavery, but slavery is not unique to Europe or any of the Western continents.
Exactly.
There was slavery in, ancient Egypt, ancient Greece, ancient Rome. All throughout Asia there was slavery. All throughout Europe there was slavery. All throughout South America and Africa there was slavery. So slavery was just, unfortunately, at that time period, kind of a way of life.
Economically.
Yeah.
You know.
And the thing is, to say that, because then it says later that America fought the Revolutionary War for the sole purpose of keeping the institution of slavery, which makes no sense at all. That's a theme, by the way, with this whole project, that it makes no sense. The Declaration of Independence states a clause that one of the grievances is that King George is kind of forcing slavery on the colonies. And so the Revolutionary War was not fought to protect slavery. If anything, it was fought to start down the path of abolishing slavery. A lot of the founders assumed that slavery was just it would not be able to hold out much longer as a prosperous economic system. So they thought it would be on its way out in 50 years. It took a little longer than that. And and but eventually it was abolished. America actually abolished slavery before most of Europe.
Mm-hmm.
Most of Europe did not abolish slavery till the late 1800s.
Yeah.
And we had abolished it state by state as early as the early 1700s.
Mm-hmm.
And we had some states, obviously the southern states, that kept it until the Civil War.
Yeah.
But that's just because we had a federalist system of government, and you couldn't really abolish it as quickly as you could in Europe. But we fought the Revolutionary War in part to pull out of the slave trade, rather. We fought the Revolutionary War to pull out of the slave trade, long before Europe abolished slavery.
Yeah. So you said you were going to comment on how the schools, how they're teaching children this crap.
Yes. Well, the project was designed to be taught in schools.
Mm-hmm.
I originally thought it was just, going to be taught in some like social studies course at universities.
No, they're going right to the source. They're going right to the kids.
Yeah, there's been versions of this that are kind of abridged, and they're going right into the elementary schools. Gone are the days of Schoolhouse Rock and actual information.
Yeah, it's a real problem in this country. You know that the ideology that America is bad, the bad guy.
Yeah, that's true. Well, that's true that is a very problematic ideology, and in order to enforce that ideology, you have to totally separate yourself from reality.
Mm-hmm.
The reality is America was founded on Judeo-Christian values.
Mm-hmm.
It was founded, it was the first country to be totally free of either any monarch or any type of theocracy, where there would be a church governing us. We have states' rights, which was unique to the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And we...
Limited government.
That was a huge point, yeah. Limited government.
Mm-hmm.
And we are, to this day, the only country who has absolute freedom of speech.
Mm-hmm.
So...
Yeah.
To say that America was founded as a bad.
Yeah. Well, that whole thing that you were talking about, that it was founded on Judeo-Christian values. That's an argument, of why America is also bad. That it was founded by Christians.
Well, if they think a country founded by Christians is so bad, I would say to look at countries who were founded by other religions.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, our country was founded not to be a theocracy, but our Constitution was taken, a lot of the Constitution took ideas, from the Bible and from other religious sources until, like, the early 1800s, like 1820s. We held church services in the capital. We are not a secular country by design, as many people think.
Yeah.
The separation of church and state is not this absolute separation of, religion and government. It's just saying that the government cannot adopt a specific religion and that the government cannot enforce certain laws on a religious institution.
Well, okay, so, yeah, we touched on, the 1619 project, I think we've said all that has to be said. But if you don't mind, I have some other topics here of stuff that's been happening in recent days.
We could get to that in 1 second. I just want to go back to a few things in the 1619 project.
All right.
So we covered how they said America's founding was inherently evil. That it was founded to protect the institution of slavery. And also then the secondary part, there's multiple essays, is that slavery has kind of formed how our other economic systems have developed over time.
Yeah.
That's not true. Slavery is not paying for the labor, and capitalism by design is paying for the labor. So
well, that's one of their arguments. Capitalism is actually evil.
Well, then they can go to, socialist Venezuela. They can go to Cuba. They can go to North Korea.
Mm-hmm.
They can go to Russia. They can go to, any other country that has any kind of socialist policies, and we can see which one we like better.
Mm-hmm.
About slavery,
Mm-hmm.
And I want to be very clear here that this is in no way a defense of slavery. Slavery is an awful force.
Yeah.
It was, one of the greatest moral evils in the entire world. But for about 150 years in the United States, this is including before, the United States was actually founded. But from the time it was colonized to the founding and up to the Civil War, slavery was not racialized. Obviously, up to the Civil War, it was African Americans that were being enslaved.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look, the first slave owner in America was actually an African American, and he owned black and white slaves. Also, Latinos and other Native Americans. A lot of other races and ethnicities were being enslaved.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was not purely a racial issue.
Yeah.
It developed into a racial issue when the slave trade moved to Africa. But we also, and again, this is not a defense of slavery, but we were not going to Africa and capturing free people and enslaving them.
Yeah, no, they were selling them to us.
They were, the people were slaves in Africa.
Yeah.
And they were just being sold here.
Mm-hmm.
Now, our participation in that is terrible and evil. But we were not like the ones who started it. We did not organize any slave trade. We just kind of took part in it and stood by and did nothing once, other countries started to abolish slavery.
Mm-hmm.
But eventually, we pulled out of the slave trade.
Yeah.
That was actually one of the first pieces of legislation after the Constitutional Convention.
Mm-hmm.
Before the Constitutional Convention, was pulling out of the slave trade. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. So you want to move on to I have just like two more things here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. So like a couple days ago, okay, today is August 16th. It's Sunday. But anyway, so like a couple days ago, a black man shot a 5-year-old boy in the head. Okay.
Oh, is that in South Carolina? I think it was.
Yeah, yeah.
What was it? Conan?
I don't remember the guy's name, but I know he shot a 5-year-old boy in the head, and the media has refused to speak of it because of
Here's the thing with that. Totally tragic. I mean, it's just crazy to even think people are doing stuff like this. I don't think it should be a national story. A lot of people on the right have come out and been like, "Oh, we this has to be in the national news." This is, and I don't think it should be a national story. I think it's a tragic local story, but I also don't think a lot of the killings that are in the news should be national stories. Even the tragic killing of George Floyd should have been such a national story. I think it was a very tragic local story, and that just has to do with how our media in this country is. And if we were to cover stories like that as national stories, if that was kind of the way of our media, then that would be the way it is. But they only pick the stories to be national stories if they fit their narrative.
Well, that's see here's the thing. All right, let's say, like, this is obviously a story that they would probably report on. Okay, but I disagree with the way that they're the reason that they're not reporting it. Okay, and you know what the reason is.
I'll just say if the races were switched, it would be the most talked about thing.
Exactly. And they are not talking about it because they think that if they mention this, it's going to be racist.
Yeah, well, I do agree with you. I want to, be sensitive about this though. National stories should be a representation of a broad problem.
Mm-hmm.
We're seeing with what happened with George Floyd, and that became a national story.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result of that, we've had protests and, in some cases, riots and looting, and there a very clear outcry from that. And I think that so that sparked a national response. And maybe there's going to be legislation and stuff to as a result of that national outcry. But I think national stories should be about broader issues. How about a national story about the black on black crime in Chicago and New York?
Exactly.
If we made national stories about stuff like that, I think that could do a lot more good, because the killing of George Floyd, as tragic as it is, it doesn't speak to something that should be a national issue, whereas black on black crime is something that is far more devastating to a lot of people. More people are hurt by black on black crime and white on white crime, by the way, than by police brutality in either race. More white people are killed by other white people than by police. More black people are killed by other black people than by police. That being said, I think we need serious police reform in this country. Police collectively are the most powerful institution we have, and I think any institution should undergo regular reform.
Okay, so do you believe that we should defund the police?
Absolutely not. That would be one of the worst things we could do. And we're seeing that, they cut back police funding in some cities up to 75%. And what happens? The police walk off the job, the violent crime skyrockets, the shootings skyrocket, the rapes skyrocket. And who's it hurting? Defunding the police does not hurt, the evil white rich people in Beverly Hills with private security, okay? Defunding the police hurts the people that are in the inner cities.
Okay, so we've gone on for almost 20 minutes here. Is there anything any last words you want to say?
Just one more thing about defunding the police. When we've had the Second Amendment argument, we've been hearing it for years, and it's always, well, the police will protect you. You don't have to have guns, but the police can have guns. The police should have guns. So now they took our guns and defunded the police. So to what end is this?
Okay, so
and this is evidence they have no plan. They have no actual idea of what to do. When it sounds good, they say take away the guns, and when it sounds convenient, they say defund the police. And they have no interest in actually solving problems. To circle all the way back to the 1619 Project, just for a quick second.
Okay.
The essay says that slavery was used as a form in our current economic systems, and that's simply not true. We had something in this country called the Industrial Revolution. I'm not sure if the New York Times is aware of it or not. That's what's formed, our factories, the way our factories are set up, the way our economic system is set up, and and maybe it is a little exploitative in some cases, but it is not because of slavery at all.
All right, well, thank you for coming on. That was Luka. All right, thank you for coming on. So that's going to be for me today. So if you liked it, please hit the like button. If you also want to hit that subscribe button along with the bell notification button, okay, because that's a thing. And as always, I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.